Hey fam, quick update on the market as we're approaching the weekend, starting from Bitcoin. Obviously this week we tested the all-time high area at 73.6k. What we noticed here was that open interest for Bitcoin was reaching yearly highs, which basically suggested that as we moved into this area, people tried to follow the price on leverage trading, while spot buyers were transferring Bitcoin from wallets to exchanges for selling purposes. So when open interest increased while there's spot selling on Bitcoin, the increase in the price of Bitcoin becomes less sustainable. So it is not very surprising to see this pullback today to the 69, 68k area. We had identified this area a few days ago while Bitcoin was still at 73k and everybody was waiting for a breakout, but there were many warning signals that we discussed that helped us avoid new exposure, new long or spot exposure to the market around this level. Our level is holding for now. Good to see. I don't want to see Bitcoin finding acceptance below this area, because then we could potentially test levels lower and this breakout could be considered a deviation, which wouldn't be as bullish. So I want to see strength in the market here, and I want to see confirmation that this is a real breakout so that we can first target these highs here, and then potentially, if we reclaim this level, if we flip this level, create a new support around this level here, so above the current all-time high, and then we can see Bitcoin go into the price discovery. But as long as it is trading below this level on a higher time frame, new long positions are certainly riskier. On the RSI, if you look at the 4 hours, it is now approaching the 50 area. If this level gets flipped, we can target the highs, the overbought area on the 4 hour. Otherwise, if we get another retest into this box, I expect the RSI on the 4 hour to drop below 35, and this adds confluence to new long positions. Looking at some indexes, starting from Total 2, we have obviously identified 970 billion as a huge resistance area for Ethereum and alts. That continues to be a resistance area and is a huge level that needs to be flipped if you want to see greater growth for Ethereum and alts in the next months. The higher time frame structure doesn't look bearish to me. We still have higher lows being printed. We identified this green box as a potential support zone for Total 2. It is holding so far, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get another retest of this 890 billion area, which would also lead to a full 4-hour RSI reset. That would be an additional trigger to look for new long positions on alts or new spot positions. For Total 3, it looks a bit different, but it's also interesting. It has been printing higher lows since the August lows that we printed due to the crash of the Japanese stock market. But what we're seeing here is that there's a huge resistance level at 640 billion. And this level needs to be flipped for alt growth to accelerate in the next few weeks. If Total 3 manages to hold this level, that would be another higher low, and we can potentially target these highs where we would look for a flip of this level, which would be really bullish. If Total 3 does not hold here and finds acceptance below these levels, then we would look for a change of trend, because that would be a lower low for the first time since August, and then we look at other support levels where we could potentially add alt exposure. In terms of some charts and indexes outside of crypto, it makes mostly sense to look at the S&P 500, which is especially relevant this week given all the macroeconomic events, the elections next week and the FOMC meeting next week. So this week we got some economic data that wasn't so good. So the job openings numbers were missed, the GDP growth numbers were missed, and the non-farm payroll came in way below expectations today. This has led to a significant decline on the S&P 500 yesterday, but on a higher time frame, this looks still good to me. It is in an uptrend with higher highs and higher lows. As long as this area here holds, we should be fine. I don't want to see acceptance below this area, because that would be indicative of a change of trend, and that would also negatively impact the price action of Bitcoin. Looking at the RSI, we've had a 4-hour RSI reset, and if we would reach this area here, this could potentially drop below 30, which would be high confluence for new long or spot positions in the crypto sector as well. Obviously, this week and next week, we have a lot of macroeconomic events. We have the US elections next week and the FOMC meeting next week. So the volatility in the market will be really high. It is important to not get chopped up. It is important to preserve capital and only play the big levels. In my view, any dip after the elections will be a buying opportunity for higher in the next months. Historically, we've discussed data on the performance of the S&P 500 and other stock markets after the elections. It has usually been bullish, which led to significant growth in the months after after the US elections, regardless whether Democrat or a Republican won the elections, the performance was still strong. So I expect a similar price action this year as well. It is just important that we play the big levels, preserve our capital, and then hopefully ride everything higher towards the end of the year and first quarter of next year. So thanks guys for joining. Stay safe trading and enjoy your weekend.